Just a few weeks ago, I took my direct-to-consumer affordable golf clubs to a tour fitting centre to see just if we could make them that little bit better by fitting them into better shafts and of course checking the lie angles and the lofts to make sure they perform. So in today's video we're going to look at the building process behind these irons. Some of what happens may shock you in this video. In my opinion, this is one of the most in-depth club building processes I've ever seen, and you certainly won't want to miss it if you are a golf club fanatic just like I am. So today we're of course going to test them for numbers inside and out on the golf course to see if I've got the right clubs. They're here, they are finally, oh, a little bit keen on that one. They are finally here. My new irons are finally here. And when I say new irons, they're the same irons as what I've been using all year. But as you may know or may not know, I've got new shafts in them. And I got fitted specially at SGGT Golf, a tour performance fitting centre. Now, this is the most excited I've been in a very long time. So let's have a look, first of all, what we're working with. And let's have a look and see how they, oh, we've got new grips on them. They look absolutely gorgeous. As you can see, we have LA Golf shafts in here. Now, they're not all the same shaft throughout the set. I'll explain this as we play a couple of holes. They've even spruced up the heads for me, which is nice. So of course, it's Tacoma 301, so it's a blade in the short iron and a cavity in the long iron. You know what? Let's get this bag filled up and let's explain just why I'm so excited about these new golf clubs, because I don't for one second think that these are going to totally, oh, how good do they look, totally transform my game. But I do, for quite a few seconds, think that this could be the best way ever for you to buy your golf clubs moving forward. You see, I love the idea of D2C brands. I love the idea of saving money. I love the idea that you can get exactly what you want. They don't always offer the best shaft options or fitting options, which is fair enough for the price that you pay. Should you then go to a brand like SGGT, you can say, right, I know exactly what head I want, I like them, we can make sure that the lofts line up, we can make sure the lie angles line up, and I can make sure I get the best shafts possible for my game, which is precisely what I've done. And before we head out on the golf course, guys, let's run through exactly what specs I did go through and why, because it might surprise you, and they are a little bit different to kind of standard golf fitting. So as you can see, we've got the Tacoma irons, 4-iron right through pitching wedge. We've got the exact lofts on there, the exact lies on there. They are matched perfectly now. Not that we're too far off anyway. Swing weight's all the same. Length's very, very nice and consistent. LA Golf shafts. However, we have the same flex in the shafts, the same grips on them, same grip colour and the same tape layers. But as you can see, I've got slightly lighter in the long irons just to help me launch it that little bit easier. And that's something which a lot of people would potentially do with splitting the set. You can see that I do have a split set in irons, so as I mentioned earlier, MB to CB kind of model, but that lighter shaft in the 4-iron just helps it cook up a little bit. Doesn't make a world of difference, but just knowing that it's correct does make a world of difference in my opinion. So let's go and take them and play some golf. We're also going to talk numbers for my brand new irons with these LA Golf shafts in them, and let's see if this is potentially the best set of irons ever. I'm gonna get it out there now. I think they probably are, because look at them. So you might be asking, James, what all is this about? Surely you just go and buy a set of irons, you buy them off the rack and they work for you, or you go and get fitted, you order them. I've kind of gone the other way around it. I got these D2C, so I got them from Tacoma and then made sure I got them in the perfect shafts and grips and everything else. You'll also see that the shaft decals don't all line up at all. They're all totally different. I'll put those on screen now. The reason for that is because these shafts have been pured, so we know exactly where the spine of the shaft is. That makes a huge difference in just how consistently you can hit golf shots. And a lot of companies don't do that. SGGT do, because it is a tour performance centre, so we need to make sure no stone is left unturned. And what am I hoping for out of this change? We've got 4-iron here, gorgeous looking head. I just love the combination. I think it looks fantastic. And I'd never heard of LA Golf before. But that feels so easy, it's frightening. And that's what I want my golf to be. I want it to be easy, I want it to be enjoyable. And I say I want to score low, but often I don't really care that much. Operation Keep the Course in Fine Fettle. because it's November and this place is absolutely ridiculous. Ridiculous. Okay, step one, don't shank the opening tee shot with the new fitted irons is a success. As we go, guys, we're going to go through in and out. We're going to test these different irons for numbers, see how far they go, see if potentially I think they're going further than the other ones. But really, it's about that consistency level, and it's about the enjoyment factor, the feel. How good do these irons feel? And if we're going to judge it off the opening shot, it's literally like an 11 out of 10, maybe 11.5. Oh no, oh no. Oh, there we go. Let's kick things off with the pitching wedge, and I've got a green set out here at 130 yards. So we all know that for me, 130 yards is around that pitching wedge number. So let's see just what we get. I'm estimating here that these are going to feel fantastic, and I would hope to have maybe a little bit more consistency with them as well. So straight away, that feels incredibly soft. I've pulled that just a little bit. Flags out there at 130, that's pitch 123, releasing out to 125. So very similar numbers as to what I was getting at SGGT in the fitting. And that for me is what I kind of like. I like the idea that they were the same as the day of the fitting. It's a skinny one, as far as that one going to go. If that goes a similar distance, 116, quite happy with that as well. One thing I do feel like is with the upright lie angle, which we've done, that is going to take a little bit of getting used to, especially in those kind of more lofted lower end irons. But the grouping is phenomenal. That's about a 120 odd again, is it? 120.5. Plenty of backspin there as well, 8,000 backspin, so we're getting that nice little kind of flight window that we do want with them. Let's go one more, then jump back outside. We'll come back in here for the mid and long irons. There she is. There she is. Delightful. So as you can imagine, it is quite the operation to take a set of irons, kind of butcher them apart and make sure they get put apart in the same way. It's very similar probably to if you were going to take a car apart, take an engine apart. Probably not quite as in-depth, but you kind of get what I'm going with that. And these got sent up to the SGGT workshop, which is in Edinburgh, which we recently visited actually, so videos coming from there. But the workshop's unbelievable. So I'll throw on the screen a little bit of a story about how these irons got taken apart, got put back together, and the method and the madness on just how that happens to make them a tour level club, which doesn't necessarily mean much, but it does mean consistency, it does mean quality, it means all those little fine factors which a lot of people don't always understand in the words kind of tour and things like that. So as you saw, the first stage was puring those shafts, making sure the frequencies were right and making sure the spines were in the right place. Second up was making sure those loft and lies were correct. I can't believe how meticulously Harry has gone through all this. Harry is the fitter at SGGT that does all the club building for us, and he is an expert in building golf clubs. As you can see, there's no stone left unturned when it comes to making sure lie angles, lofts are all correct. And what I love is the care taken with those copperheads to make sure they don't mark up even on a nice soft loft and lie angle machine just like that one. So I know the loft and lies are going to be absolutely spotless, and as you can see, it took some time, but I think it's well worth making sure loft and lies are correct through any club fitting. The second stage of the build is making sure the tips of the shafts are prepared for gluing into the head. So as you can see, again, meticulously done to make sure there's nothing that goes over the ferrule or anything like that. And again, this can be something which, if you get it wrong, can make a right mess of the golf clubs. And shortly after that, Harry acetones the ferrules to make sure they are gleaming and fit perfectly onto the golf clubs. Once again, this is a job which, if done incorrectly, can make the clubs look absolutely terrible. The next step is making sure that those shafts are the correct length. So once again, no stone left unturned when it comes to this, and you might be surprised that some of the bigger brands often do get shaft length wrong, lie angle wrong, and of course give themselves those margin of tolerance, which at SGGT you just don't get. So once we do have the shafts at the right length, we can then make sure we swing weight them properly. So make sure all those clubs are correctly swing weighted to make sure I'm going to get the best feel and performance for me. Once we've done that, it's time to glue those shafts onto the heads. And once again, this is something which people can get wrong, especially if you've been puring the shafts. You need to make sure those shafts go in at the right orientation. And again, Harry's done a stellar job by doing that. Next up, it's time to make sure we buff those ferrules to make sure they sit flush and nice. And again, I had to do this once on a PGA exam, and it's nowhere near as simple or as easy as Harry's making this look. As we put the closing touches now to these clubs, a little bit of acetone to the ferrule to make them look nice and gleaming, and then finally it's time to put those lovely Lampkin Green UTX grips on there. I actually said to the guys, look, I'm quite happy just to put my old ones on, but they put some new ones on, so huge thanks to the guys at SGGT for that. Now let's get back out on the golf course and see just potentially how well these clubs can work, and if I now have any excuses, which looking at this, I really don't think I do. So this shot would always be a sand wedge, but when you see how this decal is on the back of the pitching wedge, I quite like that. I think it makes it unique. It's a really nice talking point for a lot of people as well, isn't it? Let's go pitching wedge. Let's see if we can play a nice little knockdown shot to the first, because this is exactly what I was trying to do in the fitting. Just make sure that these clubs do what I want them to do, not just from a full shot, but from that kind of little knockdown shot as well. I'm buzzing with these. I'm really, really excited to get these in the bag. I think we're downwind here, so we're going to have to play a nice, really well struck one, which is exactly what that is. I pulled it a little bit, but I think that distance should... Oh. You know, sometimes things take some getting used to. I really don't think this is the case with this. And I often think if you've been for a good fit-in, there probably should be a honeymoon period straight after, because if it takes some getting used to, then who've they fitted? Are you getting used to them, or are they getting used to you? I don't know. I suppose you could say that on a honeymoon, couldn't you? Are you getting used to her, or is he getting used to you? Who knows? Who knows? Distance-wise, absolutely perfect, which is exactly what I was hoping from with this fitting. You know what, I'm going to... Operation Keep Them Clean is in full force as well. I took them and Lawrence was like, oh, they're disgusting. I was like, sorry. No. In all seriousness, if anyone does want to go for a fitting at SGGT, I'll link them below because they've been absolutely fantastic for both me and Chris. I know Chris has took Dave down there and Dave's got fitted for a couple of different things as well. And I just think you get, if you're serious about your golf, or even if you're not serious about your golf, but you want to enjoy your golf, you have to know your clubs are right for you. And if you're going to go and spend a lot of money like so many people do on golf clubs, I think they actually take the fitting fee off the clubs if you buy them. So you're making sure you get the right clubs, you're making sure you get the right service and the right fitting, and yeah, you might end up in maybe a better high-end shaft if that's what you ask for, but realistically, it doesn't cost you that much. Right, can we hold the putt? This is new as well, this isn't fitted at all, so that's totally against the method that we're going at, but I'm a sucker for a nice looking putter. So, no Bobby today for people that are asking. Bobby's on holiday once again. His life seems to be a holiday. So I'm on my own. I quite like being on my own though, just me and you guys. Right, come on. Swing out to the right, close in. Birdie the first with your new clubs. Come on! I could not be happier. It's Friday afternoon, I've got my new clubs, I'm rolling putts in with my new putter, and we're going to the pub later. What a day! Can we just have a moment's appreciation for the state of this golf course in November? Ridiculous. Right, 1 under. Stop the count. Here, now. Leaderboard, Robinson 1 under. Victory. Okay, now for the 7 iron. 165 is usually the number for me, so in fact, let's put this back a little bit. Let's go up at 170. If we can pitch this around 160, it should release out quite nicely. Not looking for a distance club here, we're looking for consistency. Nice high trajectory. 7,000 spin on the nose. Dipped out the air a little bit there, so 150. Carry 155. Was a touch heavy. Let's see if we can get that up a little bit. That sound is phenomenal. Gaz is here. Gaz, what do you think?
You're flushing him, mate.
That sounds so good. That's the exact number I'll be kind of looking for, between 160 and 165. Nice bit of a fade. 6,900 spin, which is perfect. Now that one was toey. What's that going to do? I do like the idea that we're kind of looking at the miss hits as well. So the miss hit generally does drop a couple of yards. That's 157. Still spinning at 7,000 though, so we're not dropping the spin at all. What about that lower knuckleball flight?
Strike sounds amazing.
It does, doesn't it? It sounds good, and the lower one that comes out spinning lower obviously can carry a little bit more, which I'm pleased to say that they're all doing what I want them to do, even with the miss hits, because a miss hit's always going to go shorter, doesn't matter what kind of club you're using. But I can muscle them up, flight them down, and play that kind of lower shot if I want to as well. I can't wait to test the 4-iron. They feel incredible. Very consistent. Okay, absolutely buzzing with that start, as you can imagine. Let's go 4-iron. In fact, let's just show you the differences here and what I mean by the decals. You can see those heads are both facing to the right, and as we work down, I'm sure you get it, but I just want to make sure that you kind of get, and I like that. I like that each club is different. I like that each club is unique. I like that each club is doing exactly what I want it to do, because often, if something's not right, if one of the lofts is off, if one of the line goals is off, it can play a huge part in your confidence with that product. Takomo have actually been very good with a D2C brand, with them being consistent, the line goals being good, and the lofts being nice and consistent. As you can see, these are quite battered because I've used them a lot. And the lofts actually withstood really, really well, and so did the line goals, even with heavy indoor use on mats. And that's something which some brands just don't do, especially with a soft forged head. Generally, the line goals will move, and that's just kind of well known. But can we play one a little bit flighted down with this 4-iron now? This is something which I was slightly worried about with the lighter shaft. Is it just going to pop up? I do like playing that kind of low flighted one. It's needed here. So do we lose that, or do we still have? That is absolutely unbelievable. That is absolutely unbelievable. The feel, I mean, these Takomos felt good anyway, but that feels like everything I want and more. If we look at the turf interaction, just check that out. Yes, please. And my plan here was to only play like literally 2 or 3 holes and do most of my talking in the studio. I could quite easily just stay and play 18 holes here because I'm really, really enjoying what I'm seeing. I haven't actually done the studio part yet, so if I'm really excited there as well, like honestly, they feel so good. A lot of people might say, well, surely you need new iron heads because they're starting to get worse for wear. I actually think with this kind of limited edition copper finish, that industrial look, like that's not affecting performance whatsoever. I think that industrial look looks really good. When you match it with like these kind of modern shafts and grips, that looks so good. A lot of people might not like them, but they're mine, so it's fine. It's fine. Right, we've got a long way here. I've picked 8-iron out to show you. I think it's too much. I'm going to try and hit it. It needs everything and more, because really it's a 7. I've struck that incredible. Is it there? Oh, it's in the bunker. You know what? It was long enough. And again, the turf interaction is brilliant. Anyone that doesn't share my joy of a divot, the ball's here. Oh, it's so good. Literally, the bunker's level. I pulled it a little bit, to be honest. The ball's below my feet. I thought it'd come back. The bunker's actually level with it, so it would have got there. And we'll put you back. And we'll see if we can stay under par, because ideally here, I don't know, is it important to be under par? Or is it just important to have the vibes that we're having together on a Friday afternoon? I mean, under a birdie would be nice, wouldn't it? In fairness, that is a massive sucker flag as well, isn't it? Look how close we are to it. Even though this is rather impossible now, but we'll go with it. Oh, I love golf. We played that much scramble in the next 100, so I bent down to pick a tee up then. Random. I'm not going to lie, I'm quite jealous of you guys who know what the numbers are before I do. I hope I've edited it into your liking, and I hope they're as consistent as I want them to be. That's not right. Okay, so 4-iron in this Tacoma 301 LA Golf shaft. So as you can see, it's of course the CB head, and the 4-iron's slightly different because we have a slightly lighter shaft in there than the rest of them. So it should be a little bit easier to launch, but can we still play that flighted one down? It's a lovely big high fade to kick things off. Around 200-ish would be a nice number. We'll have a bit of that. Dispersion, everything you want from a club, isn't it? For a 4-iron to go over 200 and still be bang in the middle with a bit of a fade is a lovely result for me. That's that lower one. That's going to carry over 200, I would imagine. Pulled it a touch. 206 carry, 220 total. So what I'm finding here is that I can be a little bit kind of more artist-like in the shot shaping and what I want to do, but there can also be cannons if I want them to be. They can also go that little bit shorter, that little bit lower, that little bit longer if I want. A little bit of a pull on that one again, but that's that powerful one coming through. Backspin again, 4,077 with the 4-iron. So we're getting the numbers that we want. We always want that kind of number on the bottom, plus 3 zeros if we can.
I've never seen you strike it so solid.
Yeah, I feel like, especially with the 4-iron, I get to the top and most of the work's kind of done for me. That's a little kind of higher spin one. It's never really going to be in too much trouble because you're not going to try and play that one, say if you're into the wind. So that's the kind of stock one, spinning at like well over 4,000. But say if we're into the wind now, I feel like potentially I could stand narrower, ball back, and just kind of shoot it down a little bit there. I've duffed that one. Getting overexcited. Go again. That. So it's going to be the same distance, but 1,500 spin less. And it's just chasing up towards that number. Let's get back out there and see if we can finish under par. You know what I think the most important factor about today is? I've not been this excited about golf probably, I'd say since I was a junior. That's probably taking it a little bit too far, but certainly since my dad was around and we were playing with my dad. And for me, you can't buy that because I've got the clubs that I know are perfect and I can't blame anything and they're in the right specs. I've had club fittings before. I had more club fittings than probably most people watching, but there's something about the concoction of the clubs you want that potentially haven't been fitted that many times before. Yes, I'm aware that the Bryan brothers have probably been fitted and things like that, but not to this, not for me, I don't think. Not to the enjoyment levels that I'm getting out of these. And if they have, fair play to them, and I hope they have. And just like that, winter is here, ladies and gents. Who remembers these bad boys? Right, I've got a 9. Try and flight it down into that wind. Back left flag. Fade back. Fade back. That could be very good. That could be very good. I really hope you enjoyed the building process as well that I've put in this video from the guys at SGGT. It's not easy to build golf clubs. It's not easy to document building golf clubs. So huge thanks to the guys for that. I did think I might have been a little bit short there. I think maybe I needed a chippy 8-iron. Oh dear. Uh-oh. Ah! In fairness, that flag is hidden at the back, isn't it? There's no way you're going to miss that long. There's no way you're even going to think about missing that long. So guys, I really hope you have enjoyed this video on my new kind of, they are new, aren't they, golf clubs. I've absolutely loved it. Huge thanks to the guys at SGGT. Book in if you want to be as happy as I am. Club time.